And so I'm here in Itajai. Charlie and I left the Falklands a few days ago, and we came back here to try to coordinate all the logistics of getting the boat up here as quickly as we can, and prepared in time with the new mast to rejoin the race and restart for the next leg.
The rest of the team is still in the Falkland Islands, and they're preparing the boat for transit here to Itajai. They've had to convert the ballast tanks to diesel tanks. They've had to re-provision the boat for a different type of passage, which we hope, best case scenario, to be about 10 to 12 days.
They've also been able to secure a jury rig on the island, which will aid in the journey up here, and are getting prepared for the delivery crew to arrive hopefully later today to do the handover and start making their way north. Yeah, so the guys actually tried to leave the Falkland Islands a few days ago and motor toward mainland South America. They ran into some mechanical and technical issues which were totally separate from the demasting, which forced them to return to the Falklands, which is where they are currently. And since then they've been using the time to properly prepare, rig up a jury rig, increase the fuel capacity of the boat, and do everything we can to try to make the trip from the Falklands to Itajai as quick and efficient as possible. It's really been a collective team effort to try to get the boat back here, and every little win feels like a small win, and there's still a lot of things that need to go our way in order for it all to happen, but we're going to keep pushing and keep fighting. It's all we can do.
In our situation, the rig was in multiple pieces. There was a lot of the rig still in the water, thrashing about in a pretty furious sea state, and we were in jeopardy of basically poking a hole in the hull of the boat, which would have been a very, very grave situation. So fortunately, we were able to cut everything away and salvage the hull, which is what we were able to do. It wasn't our first choice, by any means, because we never want to put anything in the ocean. But we set out in this campaign to be the most sustainable team in the race, and we're not going to let this incident stop that. We are going to offset our entire carbon footprint, and this will be added to that. So we're going to work with 11th Hour specifically to make sure that's the case. So we know what it is, and watch this space for how we're going to take care of that.
I mean, this has been a really trying time for our team, and it kind of has been for a while now. We on behalf of Charlie and I and the whole team, we really appreciate all the support that we've received from our sponsors, from the Volvo Ocean Race, friends and family, and really all of our fans and supporters around the world. This team is an incredible group of people, and I think you only really see that when you face adversity, and we've certainly had a lot of adversity in the last couple of months, and the team spirit continues to remain strong. Everybody's still really motivated to get back in the water and try to win this next leg into Newport, and put our best foot forward for the rest of the race. So thanks to all of you for continuing to support us, and we look forward to being back on the water and making you proud.
Welcome to the Daily Show here from Alicante in race headquarters. Out on the race course, there are 2 boats still waiting to finish leg 7. There are also 2 boats that have retired. Vestas 11th Hour Racing is in the Falklands, planning their next move to rejoin the race in Itajai. Sunhunkai Scallywag, since losing their crew member John Fisher overboard in the Southern Ocean, have made it safely to Chile. And if you were watching the show yesterday, you will know that they have made it very clear. Their firm intention is to get back in the race in Itajai. And we can tell you that the crew have announced through their social media channels that the delivery team are there with the boat. They're going to leave Puerto Montt, sail south and go through the Strait of Magellan, and fingers crossed, and with all the power from all the well-wishers that they're receiving from their fans around the world, hopefully we will see them before too long in Itajai, Brazil, ready to get back on the water racing. Well, out on the course at the moment, let's check in with our 2 teams that are still sailing towards the finish line in Itajai. Turn the tide on plastic, have a little way left to go, and the breeze has certainly not been helping them. We have a huge estimated window for them to arrive because the breeze is very fickle at the moment. Behind them, MAPFRE is 300 miles back, and it is really being very challenging for the Spanish boat to get any speed. I caught up with Pablo Arate on board just before coming on air because we know that supplies are running low on board. I wanted to know how he was feeling.
Yeah, obviously we got back on the fleet, and we got a very high pressure, so we stuck here on the Atlantic. and with no wind pretty much. And actually, of course, it's taking more days than we thought. So fuel, we're actually struggling a little bit, and with the food as well. So we're taking care of it. We have enough food to get to the shore, but it's not a big amount. So we are kind of on a diet, which is fine as well. And then fuel-wise, we're using the hydro generator, which is giving us some amps and is helping us. So won't be a problem, but we have to keep an eye on it.
Now, the hydro generator, that's a new piece of equipment. Can you talk us through how it works?
Actually, we at least on the boat, no one used it before, and we weren't sure how it works. And actually, we're using it now. And actually, above 5 knots boat speed is giving already like 2 or 3 amps, which is quite a lot for us. It's helping a lot. And it looks like it's not stopping the boat that much. Of course, if you have boats close by, you won't use it, because that is a small bit that is slowing you down is a lot. But when you're sailing by yourself, it's quite nice. Actually, it's very good. It's saving a lot of fuel.
And we saw from some images Rob Greenhouse getting out the manual water maker. Can you give us an update on what's going on there?
Yeah, no, at the beginning, as we're running out of fuel, and we didn't know how the hydro generator will work. We were thinking that probably we will struggle with water as well, because the water maker needs, of course, battery and fuel. And we start using the hand water maker to just produce water by hand, just pumping by hand, which it was working as well quite nicely. But as we put the hydro generator, we don't need it anymore, and we pack it away.
Well, you mentioned the high pressure. You mentioned the fact that you guys got stuck in it. At the moment, you seem to be sailing along quite nicely. What's the weather looking like ahead?
Yeah, finally, like 5 hours ago, we got some breeze. We've been like more than 48 hours with pretty much no wind, like less than 5 knots. Finally, we got this pressure, like 10, 11 knots right now. Cross fingers, and hopefully we keep like this. And in theory, in 10 hours, we can get out of here and just keep sailing normal. So let's see.
How does something like this affect your preparation for the next leg?
Well, actually, you can see in 2 ways. No, of course, we're wasting time to fix the boat, to have rest and these things. And mentally, it's actually as well quite hard, because some boats arrived already 3 or 4 days ago, and we're still here. But if you think on the boats behind, like Vestas, they're struggling even more. No, so we have to be happy. You have to think a little bit positive. And yeah, it's what it is, and luckily it's nice conditions. We're taking time as well to try some things, so it's using for training as well, and yeah, it's not too bad, you know. It's not really too bad. The only thing is taking too long, and we bored sometimes, but it's all right. It's
been impressive to see MAPFRE with such a strong plan right from the beginning of the Volvo Ocean Race. Very few crew changes. What about for the next leg? Is there going to be need to make any movement?
I don't think so. I think we are still a strong team. We are a strong crew, and we are very happy how it's working. Of course, this leg hasn't been very good, but we know why. We had some breakages, and it's nothing with the crew, and I think we are still very good. We feel confident on the boat, on the people, on the speed. So I think we will keep more or less the same. At the moment, we're not thinking on to change anything.
No changes planned for MAPFRE, so say Pablo Arati. Now, this is a bit of a battle going on right now, because, of course, if MAPFRE finish in the position that they currently are, and it looks like they will do, they will lose their top spot to Dongfeng Race Team. So let's have a look and see what Dongfeng Race Team are doing right now. Well, there's not a lot going on there, is there, Conrad? You know, talk us through what we're seeing.
Well, what we're seeing now is the boat is out of the water. The shore crew has taken over from where the sailing team has left off. And this is absolutely critical after such a tricky leg, because you're coming in from the leg, you're tired, you're hungry, you're sunburned, and you get welcomed by, at least in the case of Dongfeng Race Team, typically a tray of croissant, and then they're off to the canteen, and they've got their jaws around a hamburger, and then they're off to the gym, and then they're going home for a little bit of time. So these early days in the stopover are absolutely critical, particularly because then it starts ramping up again. Then you go into Pro-Am racing, and and the import racing and all of the stuff goes on until the restart again on the 22nd of April. So it may seem like the boats have got 2.5 weeks now, but that's really not the case. It's only time off for the sailors to rest, recover, put weight back on, and get ready for the next leg in these next few days. And I think that in terms of looking at the upswing of Dongfeng race team versus MAPFRE, MAPFRE's coming in, they're tired and they're cold and they're hungry, and they've been losing weight on their restricted diet. And I think that this is really going to, well, this could come into play in the coming legs.
And this really is important. The next few legs are certainly going to be important because at the scoreboard at the moment, things are incredibly tight. This is the predicted scoreboard if all the boats finish in the position that they're going to be. And I think MAPFRE certainly are. Turn the tide on plastic are not going to let them pass. They're not going to leave the miles at all. So it means that Dongfeng race team will be taking over the top spot with 46 points. 1 point behind will be MAPFRE, but that certainly is a big change after all the hard work that we've seen. Things tighten up a little bit. Team Brunel move up into 3rd place after their very strong finish on this double points leg and getting the bonus for Cape Horn. And Turn the Tide on Plastic at the bottom, close up that points deficit. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. But, you know, Conrad, from this point on, things are pretty close. We've seen so much action. And indeed, since the race started in Europe, I mean, we've had an unbelievable number of dramatic, emotionally draining legs. So much has happened. I mean, since the race started back in Europe, we have had 6 racing legs. Very quickly, we got down to the Southern Ocean. We spent a lot of time in the Southern Ocean in this edition. We've had 2, 3 doldrums crossings. We had a transitional leg into China. And out of those 6 racing legs, 4 teams have taken their turn to lift the trophy on the finish line each time. But now, all that hard work that MAPFRE have put in to build up a very impressive lead and really set the standard for the rest of the teams, that has been wiped clean from the result of one leg. This leg, leg 7. So Conrad, going forward, what can we expect?
Well, let's see what's coming up. It's basically a long-reaching leg all the way through. Again, the 4th and last doldrums crossing all the way up to Newport, Rhode Island. Fantastic leg. However, the next one is absolutely critical because, again, it's a double points leg from Newport to Cardiff. And then finally around the top of the Shetland Islands, further north in Cape Horn is south, into Gothenburg, the home of Volvo, followed by the last final sprint to the finish in The Hague.
Okay, so that's the racetrack coming up. But Conrad, just talk us through the points that are still to be awarded.
Well, we've got 3 normal scoring legs. So that's 3 times 8, 24, plus 15 points are going to be awarded for the transatlantic. So double points there. And then there's 1 final point to bring us up to 40 remaining points overall, which is going to be awarded at The Hague in the final one. And so that is for the shortest overall elapsed time. That used to be pretty squarely in MAPFRE's corner. Now, given the fact that they got stuck in the high pressure and lost so much time, indeed, in addition to all of the points that they lost on this leg, well, that's going to transfer over for Dongfeng for the moment. And so that 1 point may be crucial.
May be crucial indeed. And let's not forget that if we get to that finish line and things are tied, things then go to the import series as well. So we've still got plenty to work out, plenty of racing to go. Let's talk Turn the Tide on Plastic now, because Di Cafari's boat, arguably at this point, is where they wanted to be at the start of the leg. They are well trained. They've got so many miles behind them now. They are really performing as well, not least in this leg, but the leg before as well. They're really starting to fire well and really punch strong. If you are fans of Turn the Tide on Plastic, now they are within grasp of moving up on the overall scoreboard. What legs coming up do we think they're really going to shine in?
I would say the last 2 legs in Europe. First of all, we're returning to Europe. This is where the majority of the crew is from, and so we're sailing in home waters. And then right back at the beginning of the race, back in Alicante, we talked about the fact that this was a relatively young crew, full of rookies with a lot of Olympic experience, a lot of America's Cup experience. You've got Bledenmont for the America's Cup. You've got sailors like Francisco Klapschich, who is really good at short course racing. And so I think that all of that raw talent that the team started off with, coupled by the fact that they've now got tens of thousands of ocean racing miles behind them, that they know the boat, we've seen them play with the big dogs. I think that the last 2 legs could be one for them.
Okay, well, there you go. Those 2 boats, still out in the water. Turn the tide on plastic and MAPFRE still to finish. That will be within the next 24, 48 hours. The breeze really finding it very difficult to help those boats and pin down the estimated time for us. But we're going to have a look at something a little bit different. If you were watching the show yesterday, you will have seen a video that we showed you of our team going out to one of the most remote places on the planet to film the boats rounding Cape Horn. We're going to pick up that story again and just show you what it was like down there for our team, trying to get those images and then send the data back.
7 o'clock in the morning, we're at Cape Horn. We're expecting the boats around in approximately the first boat in 3.5 hours. We are, as always, having to adapt plans on the fly, but that's part of the job. Looking forward to a good day, hopefully.
All of this is like what we really need to just take the pictures, film the boats crossing Cape Horn, and also send everything via satellite to Spain.
We've got the cameras, obviously, to take the pictures and the video from the helicopter. Then also, the second mission is to get the footage out. Without getting it out, it's useless to anybody. We're taking the B-GANs out to Cape Horn so we can actually get the images out. There's no point in taking them so we can see them.
Okay, team central 2, on, ATC, on, horn, on here.
This is Chile Navy Port Control Cape Horn. Attention, attention, Sail Ship Team Brunel. Sail Ship Team Brunel, this is Chile Navy Hornos Control calling you. Over. I think that they are a little bit busy, so... Sí. Yo soy el sargento primero electrónico en control de fuego Adano Taiza y yo soy el mantenedor de acá de la alcaldía de mar y del faro monumental del Cabo de Hornos. Yo vivo aquí con mi familia, estoy hace 4 meses y tenemos una permanencia de 1 año. O sea, me faltan 8 meses para dejar este paraíso. No tenemos salida excepto por alguna emergencia médica. Entonces nosotros acá venimos preparados con una extracción de nuestro apéndice. Nuestra principal misión acá es el control de tráfico marítimo y salvaguardar la vida en el mar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Peter. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye. So they're 37 miles away. They're doing between 25 and 27 knots. So less than 2 hours away. And we'll start making plans to go meet them. Super.
Hopefully within 15 minutes we might be able to get these out for everyone to see. Oh, it's a long run back up there and it's very cold and my nose is running. Oh. We got 10 photographs going from Ainoa. We've got 45 seconds of video that we've selected that we're sending. So it's now going through the B-GAN back to race control in Europe, in Spain. At the moment, I don't know if you can see the antenna is the steepest I've ever seen it. We're literally pointing straight out across the horizon. Just above the horizon is where the satellite is. If we were in Europe now, this would be pointing almost 45 degrees up into the sky. And gone. That's it. First pictures of Brunel are back in Spain. Right, mission accomplished here. Time to go out and get the rest of the guys.
A little look behind the scenes at what goes on here in Volvo Ocean Race headquarters as we try and tell the unbelievable story of these amazing sailors out there on the ocean competing against everything that you can possibly imagine. Now then, we are into the final stages of Leg 7. 2 boats set to finish in the next 24, 48 hours. We will be here with the live arrivals and we will see you then.
It is what it is, I guess. Yeah, there's not much wind and I think a bit of boredom has set in, but it's okay. I mean, we can't really do much about it. Just got to take it as it comes and yeah, getting lots of sleep and eating what bits of food we have, and yeah, there's nothing we can really do about it. I'd have to admit the racing vibe on board is quite relaxed. You know, we're still trying to get there as fast as we can, but obviously we have no one around us and no boats in sight to catch, so yeah, we're just doing what we can to get there. But things are definitely a little bit more relaxed on board, and I think we're all feeling yeah, a bit tired of the situation and looking forward to getting there.
Following 2 weeks of relentless Southern Ocean conditions, the 2017-18 Volvo Ocean Race fleet rounded the famed Cape Horn, a monumental landmark for any offshore sailor and an iconic milestone for the teams. Celebrations were muted this time, however, as all the sailors reflected on the loss of John Fisher, who only days earlier had been lost at sea of Team Sunhunkai Scallywag.
I asked them today if they were excited about Cape Horn, and they said it was kind of, it had taken the excitement away a little bit because it was the realisation of how vulnerable they are down here, how hostile the environment is down here. You know, during the course of this leg, they've all lost a friend, and so we're saying that this rounding's definitely for fish.
Now our thoughts are really first and foremost with those guys, and you know, the racing's really secondary at this point.
After successfully defending their lead for almost a week, Bauerbecking's Team Brunel took the extra bonus point for rounding Cape Horn first. But the team now faced a demanding North Atlantic passage to the finish in Itajai, Brazil.
And it's always a good feeling to get around there first. This leg was really hard. I think one of the hardest I've ever done, and I've been there 8 times before. See the horn, and you can just see it on the faces of the crew. There's coming finally, they're coming some smiles appearing on the faces again. But of course the thing was what John Fisher from Scallywag. Even if we had a little celebration, we did a little toast on him as well.
After suffering damage to their mast track only days into the leg, overall race leaders MAPFRE had fought back and were doggedly chasing the lead trio into Cape Horn. But as the Spanish flag team rounded the Cape, their leg took a turn for the worse.
Well, what happened, I think, is a consequence of you know, the problems we've been having from day 2 or day 3, I don't remember anymore, where a part of the mast track came undone and glue from the mast. Today, once we were just passing the Cape Horn, you know, we sheared on a bit harder because it was not that wind anymore, and just a third of the mainsail just ripped from side to side, and now we have no more choice than, you know, drop the main as we have. We're lucky as well that you know, we did a plan with our short team. And right now they are just waiting for us around the corner, and you know, hopefully they can, well, I'm sure they will give us a big hand to put all this together and keep sailing pretty soon.
Forced to suspend racing, the team conducted repairs with their shore team, sheltered in a nearby bay, and 13 hours later, MAPFRE were back in the leg with a battle-scarred mainsail. But the team had lost precious miles on the leaders. Winds of 30 to 35 knots and a short sea state tested boats and crew as Team Axonabel fought hard to catch in the leading duo of Team Brunel and Dongfeng Race Team.
Have you broken it? Have you broken it before? Yeah.
Let's be gentle with it.
Not bad. Beautiful. Much better. So we have a few injuries on board. Simon split his eyebrow. I broke my nose last time.
Yeah, a bit of a wave came in on the side and I saw it coming, gave everyone the heads up, you know, and held on tight. I just got washed back on my ass on the deck of the boat, and then stood back up and away you go again.
As the leaders passed further east of the Falklands, winds gusted as high as 45 knots, producing sharp, choppy seas. Turn the Tide on Plastic's rigging soon showed signs of the relentless onslaught.
We've got the sails, and now Liz has got the unenviable task of going up there to find out what the problem is. I found the problem! I'm smiling because we've just had a call at the very end of the day to say that we thought we were going to be stuck on 3 reefs and a J3, so just plodding along. But they've okayed us to go with 1 reef and a J1 and a fractional, but no masthead sails at the moment. But that is a much bigger sail plan, changes all our options massively. So it's good news and we're going to get sailing again.
Vestas 11th Hour Racing's hopes of a good result in Leg 7 came to an end as their boat dismasted only 1,500 miles from the finish. All the crew were reported safe. The team were forced to motor to the Falkland Islands, just over 100 miles away.
See, I was driving at the time, and then there was a big bang, and the rig broke just above the first spreader. Everything, all the instruments jumped out the bracket, the radar exploded, the camera on the front of the rig exploded, and yeah, and the top of the mast obviously landed in the water with a stump sticking up.
I think that it just tells the story. This race is about overcoming the difficulties. We can't really overcome this one now, but we can make a plan to go forward and try our hardest to keep in the race.
Lose this rig at this stage to 1,600 miles from the finish is yeah, really disappointing. But we've got a great team. We'll bounce back.
Minimising their mistakes and capitalising on opportunities, Dongfeng Race Team chased hard on the heels of Team Brunel, hungry to grab their first leg win of the race.
Écoute, on a de la chance, on a une arrivée rapide, puisqu'on a du vent pas 25 nœuds portant. Ça c'est assez rare dans le coin, donc on va pas se plaindre. Et en plus on peut encore se battre pour la victoire. Brunel a une petite avance de 14 000 là. Mais il va se passer beaucoup de choses, des choix de voile, un long run de vitesse.
Leg 7 came down to the wire. The leading duo separated by less than 2 miles as they approached the Itajai finish. Team Brunel holding out to take their first leg victory.
Yeah, that's been a really tough leg, I think, especially emotional, of course, with the loss of John. That sits really, really deep, and I think especially as being a skipper, you're just feeling all that responsibility for your crew members and the family members at home. But as well, it has been so windy, and but I think just like a sportive, I think we can be really, really happy because all the points were for grab at that stake. We won, and now all of a sudden the scoreboard looks a little bit more in our favour.
Team AkzoNobel are on target to claim third, whilst behind them, Turn the Tide on Plastic are doing everything they can to hold off Spain's MAPFRE, who, if they can pass Di Cafari's team, will maintain a slender 1-point overall race lead. Fail, and they relinquish a lead they have held since leg 2. Whilst Vestas 11th Hour Racing is undergoing repairs in the Falklands, doing their best to rejoin the fleet restart to Newport, Sunhunkai Scallywag made landfall on the west coast of Chile. Team AkzoNobel are due to finish overnight midweek, Turn the Tide on Plastic and MAPFRE during the weekend.
Oh wind, oh wind. Where are you, wind?
Because we're enjoying ourselves so much out here and we're really in touch with nature, we thought we'd come up with some romantic sea poems just to pass the time a little and to show our appreciation of how beautiful it is out here.
Oh wind, where are you, wind? Oh wind, we used to be friends. Oh wind, come back, my wind. Don't be shy, my wind. I love you, my wind.
Oh winch, I wish you would turn.